You're just a message in their LinkedIn inbox. That's what you are, right? So act like it, right?
I try to qualify out as soon as possible because when you do, you're actually talking to people that want to talk to you.
You won't ever write a 100-word long or a 200-word long message because you wouldn't want to read it.
People buy from people that they know, like, and trust.
What are some of the mistakes you made when you first started doing cold outreach?
I called the same person times in one day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SalesRobot Customer of the Week, a new show where we invite the best SalesRobot users and go deep into their tactics like personalization, messaging, and all the tactics that you can take away and implement in your cold outreach starting tomorrow. Today on the show, we have Ben from ESG. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Thanks so much, Saurav. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's get right into it. What does your business do and how do you make money?
Yeah, so we are a boutique IT consulting firm. We bring Series A, Series B startups to Fortune 2000 customers all throughout the country, and bringing innovation to the space. So we work with customers about 500 million, 40 billion, showing them innovative technologies. Typically in the cyberspace, but we do tend to work in infrastructure as well as IT economization.
Interesting. So I'll not bury the lead. There is a particular campaign that got you into this show. So let's get right into the campaign. Do you remember what that campaign was about before I share my screen and show it to everybody?
Yeah, it was in that use case of IT economization. That's where we really have focused. So those are the three areas, and that's one of the ones that we've really found a replicatable, duplicatable process with.
Awesome. So let me just share my screen and show everybody the stats. So this was the campaign. I think you ran it about 7 months ago. Um, Acceptance rate is average, 10 to 15% is average, but it's really the reply rate that stands out because average response rate is close to 5 to 10%. So this is really high. So first of all, congrats on this campaign.
Thank you.
Awesome. So talk me through this campaign. How did you decide the target list? Who were you reaching out to?
Yeah, so we decided that we wanted to reach out to executive level leaders. So VPs, chief information security officers, at because I believe in top-down selling. Sometimes it's kind of hard when you get somebody bought in at the lower level to get executive sponsorship. So basically, like executive level sponsors, and we tried to stay here in the Midwest. So our company is based in Chicago, but our reach is Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Iowa, and so we're trying to stay in that Midwest nice feel, is what we try to say.
Awesome. No, I see that. Like a lot of these are higher level people, like the CIOs, the CISOs, senior VPs.
Mhm.
So really, the who's who of uh, the at the bigger companies. So that's great because
Yep.
if you're getting a 50% reply rate from these people, that's a gold mine in terms of sales pipeline.
Hmm.
Awesome. So let's get into your messaging then. So this was your sequence. It's a 5-step sequence. So talk me through this. What was your thought process with the number of
Yeah,
steps?
we wanted to nurture some of these relationships. Sort of it's interesting. I find myself in the buyer and the seller role all the time, where I have people reaching out to me every single day, and I know how I like to be communicated with. So I was really trying to get into our customers' brains, as well as I interviewed a couple of our customers, and I said, "Hey, we're looking into this. What do you think would look good?" So what we would do is we would say, "Hey, first we just want to view the profile." Also, sort of like the other, real quick before I get into that, my customers tend to be more introverted, right? Well, I'm going after IT professionals, right? They love sitting behind the screen. They love emailing or IMing. They don't want to sit on the phone. So like that's a dominant thought process. Like first thing, like you got to understand who your customers are, how they think, and where they live, right? So that was the first thing. But secondly, we're like, hey, let's view the profile first. Let's get them like hey, I don't want to just send them a message right away. Get them warmed up, right? Second step, we wanted to say, hey, happy to connect. Also, my co-founder and I very much leverage the fact that we're co-founders, right? What I've noticed with our customers is when we have that title, which I think honestly is a little stupid. I think you might agree too. Like, before we used to be salespeople, now we're founding a companies. Like, I'm the exact same person, but now I have quote unquote the title. As a marketing guy, let's leverage that, right? So we're saying, hey, happy to connect. I know that's usually better than maybe some salespeople, but at the same time, when I was in sales, like I would try to personalize a little bit. The third step here is we actually worked with a particular vendor where it said, hey, any chance you manage cellular devices? Very direct ask. We're not trying to like go right into a pitch, keep it a sentence long, like make it easy, right? Because like our customers are getting hundreds, if not thousands of emails a day, right? I want to make sure that if they're gonna reply, that they can give an easy response and we can start getting engagement, right? Yeah. So I think that was the kind of the thought process behind this one. If you want to go back.
Yeah. No, I actually love this because what I see people getting wrong often is that they would just do a like full word vomit, right? Like they would tell everything that is there to say about them in just the first message. And that's not something you would do to somebody at a networking event or somebody
Right.
you right? So
Oh my
why would
gosh.
LinkedIn? So I love this because it's short, it's to the point, and it's not harassing them, right? It's just
No,
not. It's just very
you're
human.
just you're asking an honest question, right? It's like you said, if you were at a networking event, you wouldn't just word vomit. You'd say, hey, like, I mean, and the thing that I don't like about social media is like my approach. Like if you look at my sweatshirt, it says partnership before profit, right? That's our company mission. Like I wouldn't even get into that. And I would say like, hey, tell me about you. What makes, what do you
Yeah.
like to do? What's fun? Like sort
Yeah.
of, I fundamentally believe whoever brings up what do you do lost, right?
Yeah.
Like they're the one that's being sold. So if someone else says, hey, what do you do? Now I have an opportunity to actually have a conversation about it versus me telling you like how amazing my product and or service is. So I always try to make it that sort of kind of conversation, but it's a little different online. So
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Like that's a game I will play definitely at the next networking event that I go to. Like
right,
whoever says what you do first loses. So
right,
that's
right, right,
actually
right, right.
awesome.
And then um, this next one, once again, we very much partnered with one of our vendors. I said, where we're like, hey, one of our partners launched a new analysis. We can get you a token, and I think we changed up some of the wording in here too, where it's like it's equivalent to like a $15,000 service.
Yeah. So I think you do say that,
Right, right,
like
right,
in the
right,
you say it's like it's worth 15 to 14K.
right, right. But I think the overall process here, sort of, is that like it's and then if you look at the campaign too, if you go back, if you go back to the messaging, like you'll notice we'll wait 3 days or we'll wait 7 days, right? Because like I don't know what a customer is going like I don't know what people are going through, right? We always like try to remind people. I always believe in like the wait 5 business days, you know, mentality because like people just like you're the least important person in their life. So we need to stay in front of them. And if they're willing to engage on those first couple of meetings, that tells me that they're probably willing to engage on the fourth, fifth, and sixth. But if someone's not going to, like, then okay, cool. Like, let's leave them alone.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love the being patient approach because you know you're just a message in their LinkedIn inbox. That's what you are, right? So act like it, right? Like a lot of people act like the person owes them something, which is kind of a stupid mentality to have going into a cold outreach campaign, because
Right.
all you're trying to do is see if there is a little bit of
Right.
interest, right? That's really what you're trying to discover here, right?
And sort of maybe it might even be a little countercultural. Like I try to qualify out as soon as possible, right? Like qualify out as soon as possible because when you do, you're actually talking to people that want to talk to you, right?
Yeah,
Versus why are you trying to put a round peg in a square hole? You
exactly.
know, like I was up, like I told you before, I do some teaching at my old university. Like I have a master around cold calling as well. And one of the first questions, which by the way, a lot of people would disagree with me on, the first words out of my mouth when I'm cold calling someone is I'm like, hey, did I catch you at a free time? That is a qualifying statement. If someone says yes, I already got them to say yes within the first second of our phone call, right? And people are like, well, you should go into your pitch right away. I'm like, no,
No.
that's a sign of disrespect. You're disrespecting someone's time, right? And if someone says yes, then you're like, okay, cool. Like, add some value. You can prove how you can communicate with somebody, right? And if someone says no, that tells them like, hey, I respect your time, and let's follow up at a date that you're actually free.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. And I think the same way we have to do with social too, right? It's like we have to understand like maybe they were like tired because they had a rollout of some infrastructure and they saw this random ping and like, oh my God, like finally something to distract me from this mind numbing stuff. And it's like, oh, it's a salesperson.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
No, I love this. I love this mindset because what I love the most about you so far is how empathetic you are about putting yourself in the shoes of the person receiving this message and actually selling like how you would like to be sold to, right? So that's actually a great mental sort of shift because then you won't ever write a 100-word long or a 200-word long message because you wouldn't want to read it. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, if you get people's attention for maybe a couple of seconds, you got to add the most amount of value you can in a very short period of time because like sort of so I also do some speaking on the side, by the way. I was in front of a group of people about a month ago and I asked one of our buyers, one of my board members on stage, I said, "Hey, how many emails do you get in a day?" She said 100. I said, well, and I said, how many do you get a week? Right. So it was like a couple of thousand. I'm like, of
Yeah.
those emails, how many are important in a day? She said, maybe 300. I'm like, of those, how many do you actually read? She's like, maybe 50. She said, of those, how many do you respond to? She's like, maybe 10. And I'm like, and then I looked at the crowd and I said, and that's just email. That's not text. That's not call. That's not Teams. That's not Slack. So we're fighting for people's attention, right? And we have to understand that we are the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
So we need to extract the most amount of value in the shortest period possible time.
Awesome. I love that. That brings me to my next question. What are some of the mistakes you made when you first started doing cold outreach?
Oh my gosh. That, a lot. Not listening to people. I remember one of the first times I started doing cold outreach. I called the same person 5 times in one day. They reached out to the executive vice president of the company that I work for, and I got talked to by the head of sales. He said, "Hey, champ, do me a favor. Don't ever call them again. You're doing a great job."
Yeah.
I think it's just like lack of social awareness. I think is like the biggest thing that I see a lot of like. And the reason why I can tell you all these things sort of is like I've literally done all the dumb stuff, just spamming people,
Yeah.
sending a mail merge and not double checking the people that have told me to not take
Yeah.
me off the list. Taking a no as a challenge and just like dialing them every single day.
Yeah.
I think in the 21st century, people want to be around people that can educate them, that can want to get to know them and not be pushy, right? I just closed a multi-million dollar deal being a small entrepreneur with a multi-billion dollar company. And the reason why is I told this guy 3 years in a row of how I could help him. right time, right place, and I manage the process. It's like so simple, right? We got to stop getting offended when people say no, and we need to start getting smarter and better, and we need to think about like how it's like the least hassle process to do business with you. Because if you think that way, then people will want to do business with you. Like, once again, we have two founders, I have an executive admin, and I have some 1099 contractors. Last year we did about 4 million. We're going to do about 8 this year.
Amazing.
What? And people, you know, sort of says, well, how are you doing this? I'm like, this because of the work I did 5 years ago, and I didn't piss people off.
Yeah.
And if you want to start talking like sales strategy, I also believe that cold outreach is the lowest form of outreach. Like I'm getting 1 to 10 referrals a month in the enterprise space, where my customers are referring me business. I closed $250,000 in the last 2 quarters off of referrals from other customers.
That's amazing.
Right? Yeah. You got to build long-term partnerships. You got to build. You got to be in it for the long haul. And if someone isn't ready, move on. Move on. Find a new relationship. Love people unconditionally, but be conditional with your time.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's probably going to be the headline of this episode. So that brings me to my final question. What are some of the things you're excited about trying to improve your cold outreach process?
You know, I am starting to bring on like a marketing person that does a lot of regional events, that has a lot of established relationships, and working on that. I am excited about seeing where machine learning and agentic technology is using behavioral based outreach and looking into that. I work in the tech space. I work with people that are the smartest of the smart, developing next gen machine learning and agentic technology. So I literally get to see it every single day. So I'm really excited about where that is. But honestly, at the end of the day, I think what we really need to get back to in the 21st century is building partnerships and lifelong relationships with people, and doing it the old fashioned way and focusing on what you're good at, right? Like I'm good at relationship management and that. Like I might not be like a velocity guy, and I'm okay with that, right? Like I would much rather like build a network of people and attack that with everything I have than like reach out to like 10, 50, 100,000 people, because that's not my strategy, right? I'm more of like the regional build long-term partnerships. And over the years, like now I get like 5 to 10 enterprise referrals a month, but I've been working on that like for 2, 3 years now, right? Now I have business coming to me, versus me reaching out to other people, and I have trust immediately, right? Yeah. Because their friends are saying that Ben Tempass is amazing. I don't like third party credibility is the best kind, right? Everybody wants it, but you have to be intentional about building that pipeline, and you have to understand that it takes time, right? So
No, I love that, right? Like it's important to have that clarity around who you are and who you're not, right? A lot of times we just try to be somebody they're not.
right,
Like a velocity guy trying to do what you're doing would not work out. You trying to do velocity would not work out. But
right.
both are independent,
Both
tactics.
can work, right? Both can totally work. But you just have to understand what your values are. You have to think about the end in mind, and work it backwards.
No, I really enjoyed this episode. That is all the time we have today, Ben. So for
Perfect.
people who want to find you online, how can they find you?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Is a great way. Otherwise, I can give my information to Saurav. And if anybody has questions, once again, I actually teach on the side. And so Saurav, the thing I was telling you about before is I'm trying to teach the next generation of sellers how to work with the buyers of the future. So what I do is I actually bring in 4 executive buyers that manage about 100 million in budget plus, and I have them teach people from my old college about how to sell in the 21st century. Because as much as I love salespeople, I feel like some of the best lessons I've learned have been from customers. Yeah. Hey, you know what? To finish this off, and I got to get going here too. Zig Ziglar said it best. 60 plus years ago, people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. Let's not try to reinvent the wheel.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Awesome, Ben. Thank you so much for making the
Yep.
time. Have a good day.
Have a great day. Bye.